Hello everybody, my name is Sori Faul, I am from Academia de Acer, and I have the honor to have here Jonathan Ferrar and Nigel Guenole. Welcome in Romania.
Thank you.
Please present yourself, let us know about you, what you're doing and what is your background, just a bit.
So let me start. So thank you very much, Soren, for the welcome here in Bucuresti. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jonathan Ferrar, as you say. I am an expert and influencer in human resource strategies. My particular expertise is in the area of HR analytics and the future of work. I've worked for 25 years in the human resource business. I've been a human resource director, a recruiting director, and more recently a consultant in HR and workforce analytics. I own my own company called Oka Rock. I'm an independent consultant and freelancer, a speaker, a keynote speaker, and an author in the area of HR analytics. Together with Nigel, we've written a book called The Power of People, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
Thanks, Soren. My name's Nigel Guenole. I'm an academic at University of London, and I'm a consultant working in the area of workforce analytics, and it's a topic that's occupied a lot of my attention over the last 18 months or so as we've written the Power of People book, but I've also been researching it for 10 years as an academic and the better part of 20 years as a consultant.
Wow, so I'm impressed with your background, and I know you are truly knowing HR, so writing a book, it's an experience. Yes. I think it's an experience in terms of personal experience, like the feelings you have writing the book, and also in terms of preparing the book, documenting the book, and getting all the information you need to put inside. So tell us just a bit about your book, which will come, I think, when?
2 days' time.
2 days' time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
we were hoping to have a copy of it here.
Okay.
The actual publication date is, 1 day time, 26th of May, so tomorrow. But in paperback form, the book will be out in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's available now on Amazon. The book, there were three of us. Sherry Feinzig is the third author. She's based in the United States. And the three of us decided that the world of human resources is struggling, becoming more analytically driven. So making decisions based on facts as well as judgment and wisdom, which a lot of HR professionals have, a lot of intuition. But there's a growing need in business to base on the huge amounts of data that exist in the world. So the book is aimed at helping organizations build capability, skills, expertise in human resources to help business leaders make better decisions based on data.
is this part of a trend, like, HR is now moving from being a support function to HR business partner and strategic partner? Can your book help in this strategic movement? It can be a support for HR people to become more data-driven, more, bringing more value to the company, their companies?
Yeah, we definitely think that that's the case. So this is a transition that we've seen happen in other areas of business. So finance, for example, has been data-driven and analytically driven for a long time. Marketing has been analytically driven for a very long time. So HR is actually playing a little bit of catch-up there. But we can learn a lot of the lessons from areas like marketing and from areas like finance and replicate some of those ideas so that we can build it faster than they did originally.
Yeah, if I can add on, you take marketing as a function and think back to the 1980s, 1990s, where a lot of marketing was based on promotion of brand, promotion of creativity, using analog channels like television or brochures and written documents. And then the onset of the internet enabled huge amounts of information to be suddenly available about consumers and customers. And the marketing profession had to reinvent itself almost to say, how can we use this data to find out about people and change our market approach? And now you talk to marketeers and they are incredibly data driven about digital concepts. Yeah. And so we are seeing the same trend happening in the workplace. So in the workplace, employees now are using digital channels. There's access to applications that have a lot of information. We can write about the company. We can express our feelings about our employer in a digital format. And the explosion of data has created a need to make something of that. And so that's just one example of where we feel HR can move.
It's also about big data, because lots of data is now produced indeed, and the HR is catching up, like you said. Allow me to ask, About the book, which will come tomorrow, the next 2 days. What will be the main concepts or the main ideas somebody reading the book will learn from the book?
I'll outline the 4 core areas, and then I'm sure Nigel can expand on a couple. The 4 core areas are firstly about understanding the fundamentals. Why undertake this? Why is data important? And some examples, some case studies of where this has really been immensely successful for businesses. The second area is about really getting started. What are the fundamental early building blocks that would help an organization do things? And a lot of it is very simple, tactical things that you could do within the first few weeks or months. The third area is about building sort of deep capabilities, so managing stakeholders, setting up governance and operations, building a team with skills, etc. And the fourth area is really about building that in-depth culture. So thinking about the future, thinking about HR business partners, thinking about your business executives, and how to develop some more specialized skills like storytelling and visualization. Nigel?
Yeah, I think that the book does set out those practical things that organizations can do in the early stages of establishing workforce analytics capability. Some of the types of ideas are how to identify the projects that you're going to work on. You can talk to a lot of your stakeholders and come up with a lot of different projects, but you need some way to kind of rank these according to the impact you expect that the projects are going to have on the business. So we talk about ways that you can rank order your projects in terms of how complex they are to implement and the impact they're going to have. Another key area that we talk about is how to build the team. So the leader's job is very complex. The leader's expected to make decisions very analytically, but it turns out that they're making decisions in the face of tremendous uncertainty. They're expected to make decisions, with the rigor of a business professor, but they're expected to do it in the timelines of a business environment. Unfortunately, they don't have to do it alone. They can actually resource their team with appropriate skills, and we have models. A model that we refer to as the 6 skills for success that define the core areas that an analytics director can look to resource their team in terms of to deliver projects effectively.
Again, lots of reasons to buy the book and read the book, because in my understanding as HR, it's about being more rational in taking decisions. And there is a lot of data, we don't know how to use it. And it's about mindset, if you can validate this, because HR in general, you don't have to, there are certain cases where it's not like, but in general, HR is not analytic enough. And the mindset is based on human relationship, not on data. And I can understand why, many CEOs are like saying, look, if you want to be a partner with us, decision makers, you have to bring data and you have to support your decision with data.
This is exactly the situation we found. That where many people were expressing how to do it, we started off with very simple advice. Firstly, understand why you want to undertake, and why comes from talking to your business leaders.
Yeah.
Secondly, develop relationships with your stakeholders, understand their way of operating and their business problems. And the third, then think about how to undertake the analysis to actually bring the data decisions to the table. But always start off with why and your stakeholders, because that's how business, that's what business is.
Exactly.
But one of the interesting things, Soren, is there's many ways to write a book, but we decided that the best way to write this type of book is not to base it just on our philosophy and our principles, but to base it on the principles of businesses that are successful in the world. So we went and interviewed 60 people from around the world, from a number of different countries in all parts of the world, HR leaders, business executives, and HR professionals and analytics practitioners, and then built those stories to make the book. So effectively, it's a practitioner's book for a practitioner, or a leader's book for a leader. And the other thing we did was we decided not to make it a hard copy book.
Okay.
Because many people buy books, it's a hard copy, they read a few pages, they put it on their shelf at home and never touch it again.
Yeah.
So we made this book a small, softback book so that people can put it easily in a briefcase or a laptop bag and then take it out every day and refer to this example or this story or this, so that they truly can think about how to embed this practice
each and every day or something.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah. There is. Do we need some kind of tools? Like in your book, you are presenting some kind of tools we need to, manage the data. Like Excel is good enough. We have to move even further.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. One of the themes that came through from all of the interviewees we spoke with is that too often people delay undertaking workforce analytics, for instance, until they've got a big HR transformation out of the way, or they have all of the data, in the same system or something like that. But that seems to be the wrong approach. The best approach appears to be to begin with what you have. And in the book, we actually have people who have done incredible analytics projects just with Excel, just with very clever thinking and simple software, but we also have examples where people have done very advanced statistical modeling. So it depends on where you're at in your business.
I think a couple of things to say about those examples that Nigel just expressed. Some people say, I work for a public company or a government entity, and really this isn't for me. We don't have the money or the deep pockets of a major consultancy or blue chip company. But one of the companies was one of the firms that we talked to, and we describe it in length in the book, is a police force. Okay. It's the Metropolitan Police in London, and they transformed their HR function by using analytics to become more credible, more data-driven. They reduced cost, they increased diversity, and they did this basically through using Excel.
Yeah.
So you can do pretty complex things with fairly limited resources and tools. On the other end of the analysis, there's another company that we talk about where they really looked at, it was a facilities company. In fact, I'll be talking about it today. Yeah. But this facilities company, it's a worldwide company, but they manage things like, cleaning bathrooms and managing canteens in workplaces and things like that. It's not the most glamorous of companies, but in itself, it managed to look at the impact that training, proper training of people created proper engagement of people, which created a difference in profitability. So they linked very clearly those things to get to profitability. And of course, business managers, when they hit profitability, their eyes light up and say, wow.
They're happy.
Yeah, exactly. So the book is about simple techniques to get big impact.
I understand. That's great because, there is always that feeling that you don't have the tools and then you stop, which is not true in this case. A simple Excel, you said, it's enough to do at least the basic and then move on, building on that data. This is the great news. What follows? What do you feel it will come in the next years in terms of workforce analytics? Do you have forecast?
I think that the things that we expect to see, we have one chapter on this that we call The Road Ahead, which foreshadows what we believe is coming in the area of workforce analytics, and basically it's going to be an explosion of data from wearable devices, from things like the Internet of Things. The data is going to be coming in much faster, and we're going to have to be able to make sense of it, to make contributions in HR, and we're seeing technological developments that can now handle that data. So what we really need is for HR practitioners to upskill so that they can analyze, interpret, and have the information ready.
Yeah, we have to prepare today in order to be good enough tomorrow to use this kind of data, indeed. Because HR is moving very fast, and for example, as HR, I needed to see the kind of activity some people are having on Facebook. And in terms of using social media, I am thinking about how much does it cost an ad? What is the reach I need to have in order to be, to achieve my targets? Where is my audience? These are things very new for HR. We're not used to things in those terms, and now we need this kind of data to take decisions. And social media, I think, is one of the best fields to use analytics, because you gather a lot of data about your activity on social media. And another field will be about inside workforce, already you having, like in terms of various statistics. Can you give us an example of a KPI or indicator which is, I don't know, interesting to measure in terms of and have in our KPI portfolio as HRs?
Well, to me, the KPIs are all around business metrics.
Yeah.
So you have to start at revenue, profit, customer service, these type of metrics. But I think it's about, let me take recruitment because you talked about social media. It's about moving away from procedural metrics to business metrics. So let's try and translate that into proper words. Recruitment has, for many years now, managed things like number of candidates moving from first interview to second interview, or the speed at which you put an advert out to actually recruit someone. Time to recruit. Yeah. These are useless metrics, really, because if you do quick recruitment but get the wrong people. So we enable people to say, don't focus on the quantity, focus on the quality.
Yeah.
So what you need to look at is which types of recruits create the most value. So that could be sales recruits, revenue. It could be operational people in an operations function, what their contribution to profitability is. You can strip these things back. It is possible to do, and then you use techniques to get the right characteristics of people. So then when looking at social media, that you're looking for a certain type of person, maybe from a certain background or a certain industry with a certain skill set, which is more predictive of the quality that you're going to get, rather than just the time frame. And that's one example. I'll give you a small story, and then Nigel can add, because he's an expert in assessments as well, and this is one of the key areas. But there's a classic story we've got when we were researching for the book. The head of HR and the VP of talent, or VP of recruitment, went to the CEO and said, hey, this is fantastic. We've reduced the time frame for recruitment down from 90 days to 60 days on average in this company. And the CEO said, so what?
So what?
So they were obviously disappointed, so they went away and inspected it, and then they came back a few weeks later and said, hey, to the CEO, we've increased the sales of the organization by 30 million. And he went, wow. Yeah. How did you do that? Yeah. Well, we changed this and this, and it was the same fact presented differently.
Yeah. Amazing.
But it was focused on the output, not the input. So Nigel, no.
Yeah, I'd just say with this development of social media and the use of social media in recruitment, the real question is, how well does it work? And we're still very early on in our understanding of how social media works. We know a lot about what the best predictors of job performance are, our cognitive ability, that is personality, that's job tryouts and work samples. We know very little about how valid it is to have a look at somebody's Facebook profile, or have a look at what they're doing on Twitter, or have a look at what we're doing on LinkedIn. And it also raises the concern, is it appropriate to do that? These people put this data out on Facebook, presumably a lot of the time for personal reasons, and then we go and have a look when we're making the hiring decisions. So there is a lot of kind of it's a bit of an ethical grey area, and there is legislation around that we have to navigate and think carefully about that.
Nigel, Jonathan, I'm very happy to have you here, and in general, we are honored to have you here. Thank you very much for the insights you gave to us, and I look forward to see your presentation next.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Have a nice day here in Romania, and again, thank you very much for your insights, and looking forward to buy the book and read the book.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you.
With pleasure.
I've enjoyed it.
With pleasure.